Welcome back to Off the Rack Rebellion, the podcast where we talk about costuming and how to take everyday finds and incorporate them into your everyday cosplay. Kate, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, Billy?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right.
Nice to see
uh,
you.
yeah, good to see you as well. We've
Yeah.
had a little bit of a break from recording, not from
Mhm.
that no one knows about this in the
Yeah.
world because the episodes are coming out, but you know we record in batches.
Yeah.
You guys know that.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about we're finally going to be talking about Ferrix. And I wanted to do this in the lead up because it's just it's not that long now. April,
Yeah.
season 2 is going to come out. So I wanted to do this in the run up to season 2 of Andor and really sort of start to look at um, the costumes in season 1, right? We weren't really out and doing, podcasting when they were originally airing. So, we're doing it now.
I like that it's like kind of a recap before we go into the new stuff because there's gonna be so much to talk about.
I
So
know, I
yeah.
know. Also, I think it's gonna be completely different, and I don't know. I have a feeling like we're not going back to Ferrix. Like we're not gonna see these places that we've
Yeah.
seen. I don't think we're gonna see Canary. We won't see Aldani, of
No.
course. Like
Right.
there's gonna be a lot of things that's it. They're gone. They're in the rear view.
Yeah.
So a little recap, I think, is fun. Um, so what can you what can you tell me about Ferrix?
Oh my gosh. Well, oh God, it's like comfortable workwear, right? I love the
Mhm.
worn in. And I mean, like, there's always weathering in Star Wars, right? There's always like
Yeah,
that, but I don't know. It just has a different level of like grit to it. And I love that. Um, I loved the color scheme. I have so many screenshots of like, the funeral scene like on my
mhm,
phone. It's like I've gone back to it time and time again because that like rust and there's a little teal in there and there's almost a little like
mhm.
chartreuse in there, I feel
Chartreuse.
like. And like,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like they're getting fancy and
Very yeah.
complicated complex with the color scheme, but it's
Very
subtle.
different blues, very different greens, very different, like,
Yeah.
well, the orange maybe is
Mhm.
kind of,
It
uh,
it's a
uh
it's a line that carries through that we
yeah.
see repeatedly, right? But yeah, I feel like the little pops of teal and the chartreuse were unexpected.
Mhm,
And I love that we even got some dark green,
mhm.
um, yeah, that I really love. So I have so many like zoomed in like close-ups of that scene, and then I'll go back and be like, "Oh, I forgot where I saved those in my phone. Okay, I'm gonna go just screenshot them again." So I just love, especially that scene really always got me. I love it.
I think what completely kicked me in the chest when I saw, not only the trailers, but then when we started to, right from the start, of Andor
Mhm.
episode 1, we're on Ferrix. What kicked me right in the chest was like this full like these full scenes of these crowds of people that all looked completely individual, like
Mhm.
when we're so used to seeing groups of types of beings or types of people, that are all kind of dressed the same.
Yeah.
And sure, you can kind of say that there is an overall look for Ferrix, but
Mhm.
there's a individuality was like a key point in what they were trying to do in the costuming, and I think
Mhm.
that blew my mind
Yeah.
when I saw it.
Yeah,
It
there's so
really
many
spoke to
little
me.
details when you do zoom in on those folks, like different style hats or different style jackets or just, like different lengths too. Like we do see the cropped,
Mhm.
but then there's that one character that I've done a Disney bound of that he's got the long, like dark charcoal duster. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
you're like, oh man, there's variation, which I think speaks to um reusing things, right?
Mhm.
Like this is a culture of the like that they weren't it's not the fast fashion culture that we live in, right? And so I feel like it's like, "Oh, well, I've had this jacket for a very long time, so I'm just gonna keep wearing it," right? Like
Yeah.
and, like, you saw a lot of layers upon layers, which is very common in Star Wars, but it definitely spoke to me as, like, a nod to the environment. I felt like it was a very, I felt very fall, very like late autumn was the vibe that I would get
Right.
from that. Maybe even a crisp winter day. And I just love those little details that just kind of like, it kind of just pinged something in the back of my mind, and it didn't bring a whole total thought, but it gave a feel. Like I had that feel in my mind immediately from the colors and the cuts. So it was, yeah,
Yeah,
phenomenal.
I think the explosion of color also in these sort of like very kind of because Ferrix is a cold planet.
Mhm.
I'm figuring this out like through the reading,
Okay.
um, some articles that I read on the costuming and stuff, which I will link for everyone else to check out. This is an old article, but it is from the costume designer's
Mm.
mouth. And it's a cold planet, which is why we see
Mhm.
so many
Yeah.
layers and whatnot. Um, so contrasted with like these sort of gray and cold and sort um of just the atmosphere itself,
Yeah.
of just
Yeah.
the atmos, and then these like rich jewel tones and oranges,
Yeah.
I think are kind of amazing.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now, one thing that I thought was, it feels to me like a no-brainer, but I'm now thinking of it, and have we ever seen like this diamond pattern quilting? Well, I'm sort of wearing a vest right now. You wouldn't
Oh,
can't
yeah.
see that,
Oh,
but
yeah. Oh, I can see it. Oh, wait, I'm wearing a
um
vest. Oh, with some quilting on it.
that sort of diamond pattern quilting, other than Hoth Leia,
That's what the one that was coming to mind. I was like, "Oh, Hoth,
have we
maybe."
seen it anywhere else? I was thinking about it. I couldn't place it.
No, I feel like that's where, and maybe that's where they were pulling that from, of like, "Ooh, we
Hmm.
wanna give this feel
Cold.
of cold." And what
Hmm.
would do that in Star Wars universe? Oh, well, Hoth, of course, like,
Hmm.
yeah, for sure. Oh, that makes sense. I love
Because we
that.
do see that linear quilting, like we do see
Mhm.
the sort of I don't know,
Yeah.
the stripe one, the straight sort of
Mhm.
line quilting. That is
Mhm.
in everywhere. That's in you know flak vests for pilots, and but all different kinds of vests. Like that's sort of a staple for Star Wars. But I couldn't place the diamond
No, I think you're onto
except for
something.
Hoth Leia, yeah, and some of the other Hoth people.
I
Obviously, the
love
hats,
those.
the
Yeah.
winter hats as well that they wore on
Mhm.
Hoth were obviously that. And just wondering like why that is synonymous with cold
Yeah.
weather. That
Yeah.
diamond quilting,
Right? And is
but
it
makes
one of
sense.
those things that's like it's just a code for your brain, right? Where it's like it doesn't like there's no like background of like, oh, this is a specific technique that
Right,
that we tailor these clothes in for these certain temperatures or whatever. There's
right.
nothing like that. It's just this like we want your brain to flash back to that ever so slightly.
Hmm.
So I wonder.
It's
It's
got to
very
be that.
curious.
Yeah, it's got
Maybe,
to be
yeah.
that.
I think you're onto something for sure. I love that. So,
Yeah, I'll read this little bit from the article where
yeah.
Michael Wilkinson, who was the costume
Mhm.
designer, which I thought was amazing, going back to like the individuality. He says what says he wasn't content to create a handful of silhouettes and dye them in a variety of colors, making the people of Ferrix look more like they were wearing uniforms. Instead, he and his team infused individualism into every costume. I think that's what I was talking about, that like
Yeah.
really like kicked me in the chest. It awoke something in my
Yeah.
mind, and I had already been, and I know you have, I'd already been sort of swimming in this ocean of like original characters,
Yeah.
and then seeing that on screen did something to the
Yeah.
chemistry of my brain, and was like, oh no, wait, this does have a place in this universe, this individuality.
Mhm.
Like, you don't have to be an archetype of a character. You really can sort of carve out your own look, playing
Mhm.
within the same sandbox, but you can carve
Mhm.
out your own sort of look,
Yeah.
which I thought was amazing that they, I think, for the first time did it here. We obviously see a lot of townsfolk
Mhm.
in different
Yeah.
planets, but throughout all of Star Wars. But I think this is the first
Yeah.
time it really feels like,
Yeah. The
you
only
know,
other time I can think of kind of really zooming in and looking on the details of, like, a group of people is the pod racing scene in
right.
episode 1. But I would dare say that this even has more
Yeah.
variation than that one, because it is fun to go in and look at there's some funky hats in that scene.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But there's just a lot of, like, kinda wrapped tunics, and so I feel like that's where we're really getting the camera is in Ferrix, you know what I mean? Like, when you're kinda seeing the crowd in the stands for the pod race, it's like scanning across, right?
Right.
But, like, in these episodes, we are in Ferrix, we are seeing three-dimensional of these looks, so it makes sense that he wanted to really dive into that more
Mhm.
and give us that just explosion of detail. So I love that. But that's the only scene that I can really think of other than Ferrix that might give us, that kind of variation prior to the Acolyte, because then we did get a little bit in the market scenes, those
Yeah.
like little like glimpses that we were like so obsessed with.
Which I
But
think is like learned behavior now, right? Like
mhm.
people react to that. People
Yeah.
sort of, positively like, "Oh,
Yeah.
look at all of these different
Yeah.
people."
Yeah.
Um,
It gives a richer image of the planet
yes.
because, you know, you go out, even if you go out onto the street, I'm thinking of, like, somewhere in Seattle, like Pike Place Market, famous, I would dare say world famous, like, location. If you, like, set somebody down on Pike Place Market and they looked around, there's still such a variation, like, yes, you're in North America, you're in the United States, you're in 2020 whatever, but there's still, you look around, there's still a variation among what people are wearing, right? So I
Mhm.
think it's a very real world technique that they're putting onto the screen by being like, not everyone's looking the same. So,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Now, obviously, it's a sort of scrapper planet.
Mhm.
So the sort of blue collar sort of life has been woven through the entirety of Ferrix. So much so that they honor their dead by you know making bricks out of their ashes
Mhm.
and making them part of their literally part of their homes and city, right?
Yeah.
Um, and there were two sort of inspirations that Wilkinson goes into. And he says there was a lot of inspiration from Japanese workwear,
Yeah.
but also just blue collar workers in general. There's a lot of he says it's a Carhartt town
Mhm.
in this
Yeah.
article. That Ferrix is a Carhartt town, and which I thought was really funny. And one thing that I think is really accurate to that is that in blue collar towns, you'll see people wearing their work clothes to
Yeah.
go like have a beer with their buddies after
Oh,
work. And
totally.
it's like they're sort of living in that, what they do is they wake up, they go to work, they, have a bit of after work time and go home. And maybe at
Mhm.
home they change into comfy sort of
Yeah.
home stuff. But for the most part, even if they're going to get groceries, like they're dressed as if they're going to
Yeah.
their blue collar work. That's sort of how they live, you know?
Totally. And that's one I've mentioned it before, but that's one reason why I think that's one reason why I loved Andor so much, but why I connected to Ferrix instantly was I was like, this is where I'm from. This is Detroit.
Yeah.
Or this is like my grandfather on the farm had, a line of coveralls hanging behind the shed door, and like you go out to work with him on certain projects and you go find something that fit you and you pull on the coveralls
Yeah.
and then like you layer on a quilted jacket, a diamond print quilted jacket. My
There you
grandmother
go.
had an old one from like the 70s that was navy, if it's colder, but like
Mhm.
it very much was something from my past. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this looks like real people." Like, I
Yeah.
understand this, and I loved that. I really it
Yeah.
yeah. Then you can, like, that texture of the Carhartt canvas and everything, it's just like,
Mhm.
oh, like, you can feel it in the back of your mind as you're watching on screen. I love that.
Yeah, it really cements it. It really everything is sort of for purpose and built for purpose. Like it's
Mhm,
outerwear that has intention, and it's
mhm.
they didn't want to just sort of put all this color in there. It's the purpose. These people are doing dangerous
Yeah,
jobs, so these kind
yeah,
of bright
yeah,
colors are also necessary,
yeah,
like on any work
right?
site, you know?
Totally. Well, and protective quilting too, right? Like,
Yeah,
you need layers on your clothing
bump
and
hats,
and yes, the
you
hats are
know?
so good, right? Yes. I love the it's Brazos, right? Is his name. I love
Yeah,
that hat that he's got. It's like it's so the lines are so good, but like you get it. You're like, oh yeah, like safety headwear. I get that.
it
Ah,
makes sense, and it has to be comfortable if you're going to sort of live
mhm.
in this clothes.
Yeah.
These people are
Yeah.
are proud of what they do, and they're proud of their community, and
Mhm.
they're a
Yeah.
blue collar working class sort of
Yeah.
community, and that's
Yeah. I
great.
love that.
I think it's the first time. I mean, other than like rebel and imperial insignias, it's also the first time that we see,
Oh,
or maybe
yeah.
not the first time, but one of the first times that we see sort of logos for companies, for even
Mhm.
the costume designer was saying that even some of the symbols that they're wearing aren't for the businesses, but they're actually in-world brands
Oh,
of
yeah. Yeah.
safety gear and workwear.
Mhm. It's your little
Um,
Carhartt logo.
yeah,
It's like a
yeah, yeah,
little
yeah,
C.
yeah. I mean, there's one that looks almost identical to the
Yep,
Carhartt
yep.
logo, and that's
I love
really where
that.
it comes from. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Um, Now, there's a lot of blink and you'll miss stuff here. I'm going
Uh-huh.
through the doc now,
Yeah, me
and this was
too.
one. This was the very first photo that I have, and I'll put these up on the Instagram
Mhm.
on Off the Rack Rebellion. And we have a blue sky now too. I opened a blue sky. I
Oh,
haven't
thank
used it, but
you.
yeah.
Hey.
But I haven't posted anything there yet. But I know
Okay.
that the bio is there and it links to
Perfect.
everything. So if you're on Blue Sky anyway, I'm waiting for flashes. I mean, I don't want to derail this conversation, but
Yeah.
I'm waiting for flashes, which is a Blue Sky version of Instagram.
I
I
heard about
would
that.
love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sweet. Yeah, I actually
that is
just got a
fun.
Blue Sky account as well, so I'll start, putting some stuff there as well. Get hip with the times.
So this is yeah. So this first photo, and I'll try to keep these in the same order when I post them. They are kind of going through just episode one, really. That's where we see the
Mhm,
most of these kinds of looks. But this very first photo is actually not from episode one. It's when we come back to
mhm,
Ferrix
mhm,
after the Narkina 5 arc. So this is right before Marva's funeral,
mhm,
and it was a scene that I was surprised to see. Some of these people we see earlier on in the season. Some of these people we see in episode one. You'll see them in the photos, but this is a whole new look for Cinta
Santa. I
because
love
she
those
is
colors.
working. Yeah, she's working at like a calf shop.
Mhm.
That's sort of like a cafe,
Yeah,
and she's just sort of keeping tabs on the empire since they've moved in
yeah.
essentially. um but all these other looks we've seen, from episode one. These are all repeated. Obviously these people work, they live in these clothes, they work in these
Right?
clothes. This is the first time we're seeing Cinta in this, which is like a weird apron type of thing
Or
and
it's
these
like
beautiful
is
sort
it
of
oh, yeah, an apron. I was thinking it was overalls, but you're right, it's an
yeah,
apron. Okay,
yeah,
over like a wrap tunic, a thick
yep.
wrap tunic, right? You can tell that
Hmm.
is
Yeah, it's almost
quilted.
a jacket. I don't know if it's a yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's a
Um,
jacket.
because I think, oh, no, it is a wrap.
Yeah, it's got a
It's
you can
definitely
see the
quilted and it's
collar a little bit,
thick.
yeah.
She's also wearing a sweater underneath the ribbed
Yeah.
knit sweater because this is a cold planet. I
Cold
actually
Planet.
didn't know
Yeah.
that. Like I thought these people, I thought like all of Star Wars, it seems like it's cold, right? But
Yeah, well, it's cold in space. But I was always curious if it was just, like, their cold season, if it was just their winter, or no,
Mhm.
it's always cold, which I suppose makes
Cold
sense that
planet.
they're more industrial as opposed to agricultural.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Right.
yeah,
That makes
I
sense.
love
More
it.
factory workers than agricultural workers.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
this is another shot from
Yeah.
right before Marva's funeral as well. This is the second photo I have here, just showing some of the more kind of uh I'll say traditional in quotes, but some of those like just sort of straight line quilting that we've seen
Yeah.
throughout Star Wars here repeated as well,
Yeah.
just I'm sure as a nod. And but just a bevy of beautiful colors, beautiful reds, obviously from the Daughters of Ferrix right here
Mhm.
in the background. great hats. One detail that I love, and it's a story beat in the funeral episode, and it's because Cyril comes back to Ferrix as well, and
Mhm.
he meets up with his um an old buddy from the security corps
Yeah.
from Morlana. I forget what they're called. Um, but he meets up with them, right? Because they're also looking for Andor. He calls him and he's like, he's here. Supposedly he's on planet. And they do this amazing thing that it's a I'm always picking up on the spy stuff.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with it. And they do this one thing that's a very sort of spy thing to do, especially in crowds. And they're both wearing hats,
Yeah.
right? Independently of each other, they're wearing these hats. And what they do before they go into the crowd is that they switch hats.
Yep.
And that's so that like you might remember your friend's hat, but you will definitely remember your hat. So switching hats to
Yeah.
go into a crowd is a way to spot your partner because you're looking out for your hat. You're not going to miss your hat, you know? But to remember like, oh, wait, what
Oh.
hat was he wearing? I
Oh
don't
my gosh, that
remember.
was
Like
so subtle. But like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that.
they switch. Yeah. And it's they don't even talk about it. They don't mention it. Nothing. The minute I saw it, I was like, I know what they're doing. I know
Oh
what
my
they're
god.
doing.
Oh my god. Okay,
We're
my
about to
next
jump
rewatch, I
into
have to watch
yeah.
that point because I now I'm like, oh yeah, I do recall them doing that, but I didn't even register in my brain. Oh my
They're in the
god,
middle of
so
a
good.
conversation. They just pass each other's hats back and forth. I'm sure it's something maybe that they got in training. Um, Maybe, who knows? I mean,
Oh
obviously
my
they're part of a police force, so if they were going into a crowd, they would just be looking for their hat, which
yeah.
is their standard issue
Oh my
hat,
gosh.
right? So it's
Okay,
just a trick
so
to yeah,
we're gonna
anyway.
start a new tradition. Anytime we're getting together, we switch hats. Although I have a small head. I have a tiny head, so that won't work. But I would really love to point out before we change from this
Mhm.
picture, the individual who is in the right-hand corner has a zipper on that jumpsuit. And I
Yep.
swear that is a jumpsuit that I own. I mean, it's really similar
Yep.
color to a jumpsuit I own, and just that quilted down vest. I swear to God, I've got that same vest too. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got this outfit.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah,
you
that's a
know, they
zipper.
they do that, you know?
That's a
These
yeah,
background characters that we
right,
see for a split second, like not everyone
right.
gets the hero treatment.
Yep, yep.
What I will say that I found the other day, and I dropped this in the chat the other day, and it is, the bomb maker, that young boy,
Mm,
right? Who makes a bomb in this episode and
mhm, mhm.
throws it at the
Yep.
Empire. That kid has full on laces on his boots. Full on. Full on laces. Okay. There's one shot of him. Every single other time I combed through I combed through the entirety of season 1 to find select screen caps, right?
Yeah.
Every single time we see that kid, we see him from the waist up. There is
Oh, yep.
one shot that is literally 5 frames of film, right? Or
Oh my
whatever,
gosh.
it's literally 5 frames that we see him where he's sort of sitting along the side of a building on
Yeah.
Ferris, obviously.
Yeah, I remember
And
those
he
shots.
kind of gets up and walks off. Like
Yep.
it's a shot where he's sitting, he gets up and walks. So the shot ends with him waist up
Yep.
as
Oh
he's
my
walking
god.
off screen. If you pause it, if you pause it, the kid has full on laces.
And you're like, "Oh my god, there they are."
I was like, that's it. There it
Yep,
is.
there it is. If we get so we're hoping to record an episode on, Fashion of the Jedi Through the Ages. I'm
Mhm.
having a hard time getting my photos to work, but we'll see what we do with it. But there are, because I've gone back to some of the old comic books, and there's
Yeah.
laces on, like, some of
Oh,
their
yeah, yeah,
outfits,
yeah. I
and I'm
can't
like
trust comics,
I
and
know,
sometimes they're not even
I was like, "Oh, the
canon, like,
90s comics." Well, yeah, because they're
yeah,
not canon anymore,
yeah.
but I was just like, "Oh, man, back in the day, they put laces on stuff and Star Wars."
I completely
Oh,
understand, I completely understand doing things that are out of type
yeah.
for a blink and you'll miss it moment,
Oh,
for
yeah.
background
Especially when you have
characters,
this
for,
many background characters.
I know there's hundreds of people in this scene.
Mhm.
So I understand that, but a kid that gets that much screen
Yeah.
time, really? Like,
Yeah.
I've combed through all of it. He is the only one on planet with laces on his
They need
shoes.
you on set and be like, "Nope, laces, nope." Like, "Get
I
this kid
look,
some wearing boots."
I don't want a rep for being like the visual language police,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I feel like that's kind of been
right.
like thrust upon me for some
Yeah,
reason
no.
because of my
I think we
eyeglasses freak
tease you
out.
about it.
Yeah, but I don't make up this stuff, like, I didn't do this, like, I didn't make up these
They're not my
rules,
decisions.
like,
You know,
these aren't my
the other
decisions, like,
instance
yeah.
of laces that they're actually there, we just don't see them, is Jyn Erso's boots. So she's actually
They've
wearing
got
Fry
spats, though.
boots, and they're covered, yeah.
Yeah.
But you
So
just
does
wonder,
Andor.
like yeah, and you're just like, "Hey," like, it just makes me wonder, like, are laces in the universe just people keep them covered? You know what I mean? Like, is it just, like
No.
I just wonder about,
Yeah,
like
I
or
think
do they
it's
not
like
want you to think they're in the universe? Like,
I don't
what do
think
you
they
think?
want you to think they're in the universe, I think they're
Okay.
covered. Otherwise, show them because
Well,
they're
'cause
spending
the
more time covering them
oh,
than they
that's true,
are.
that's true.
Right.
The covering, replicates, welding plates that, like, welders
Right.
will put on their boots, and so
Yeah.
I just always wondered if they just wanted I mean, I get it, they don't want laces, they're too earthy, but I'm always like, "Oh, would that character actually have some sort of lacing?" Maybe not an Earth style lacing, but some sort of style of lacing, and maybe they're just showing that it's covered to be more industrial and more, like,
Right.
adventure. I don't know. I was just like
I think it does
I'm
have to
just
do with,
always
like,
curious, so
spacers and, like, this is a not techno, but, like, this is a technological sort of advanced
yeah, yeah,
universe,
yeah.
so we've moved past
Yeah, we
laces
moved back
somehow.
this very basic thing that we have been, like, holding on to for centuries on Earth, right? Like, we haven't, like, quite gotten away, which is kinda
No.
interesting if you think about, like, I suppose, I don't know, anthropology of fashion, like, what
Yeah.
are we calling that? Like, really the evolution, and we're still using this super simple tool that was used thousands of years. Like
Yeah, I mean, it's course it's a boot is corseting your foot in,
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, they're not, like, cinching, but they
Yeah.
do need to be
Mhm.
tied to
Yeah,
your
yeah,
foot so that they
yeah.
don't fly off, like
Totally, totally.
so it is kind of, it makes sense to me.
Yeah,
I just wanna put
yeah,
that out there, like,
it's stuck
laces
around.
make sense
Yeah,
to me, yeah,
they
like,
work, we've proven that they work.
I wear them every day, like, when I wear my sneakers, like, it makes sense, like, I'm not,
Yeah,
like anyway,
anyway.
this has been thrust upon me, I think, and I'm just defending myself for a second, right? I didn't make this up, uh, and there's been zippers in Rogue One on a
Yeah,
main character,
yeah,
on a
yeah,
hero, like, on
totally.
Brody has, like,
Yeah.
a zip up, like, fishing
To oh,
vest,
yeah,
like,
yeah, he
which is
does.
like,
Yes,
fishing vest, like,
and
come
so
on,
I know, you're like, "Really? You just walked
come
into
on,
Bass Pro? Come on."
come on, with the nylon netting,
Right?
come
So I
on.
always wonder if when they put things in like that, that it's supposed to be, "Wow, this is really old and antique," or something like that, you know what I
Ah,
mean? That's
interesting.
kinda 'cause I'm like, clearly for them, it should be an outdated technology, right? Like, because 'cause we're
Right.
saying they've got other fasteners that are better in space for whatever reason. So that's
Yeah.
why I always read it as this is supposed to be a really, like, discarded, cast off, no one's used it, it's like,
Mhm.
bottom of the scrap pile.
Right.
Something that somebody scavenged,
Could
but
be,
that's just
yeah,
my
could be.
headcanon. So,
I
yeah.
will say that kid, that bomb I'm sorry, I don't know his name, but
Mhm.
that bomb maker kid, they are very weird laces. Like, they aren't like
Yeah,
they're
they're a bit
sort of
different.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they're the ones that have, like, those loops, you know the ones I'm talking
Oh,
about?
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
Where the actual weave of it is almost, more rounded than it is
Yeah.
angular, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Hard to
Yeah.
explain, but, like, it's weird.
You're gonna have to share the
Um,
screenshot now because I do have to
yeah,
see.
I have it. I didn't
Okay,
put it
good.
in the doc. It wouldn't let me. It wouldn't let me. It wouldn't let me put it in.
It's a
That's what I'm
filter.
going with. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. No, I'm kidding. I forgot.
It's AI blocking.
Um, so yeah, I'm just scrolling through, some more of these
Yeah.
photos and, like,
I
the
love the
next
big
photo.
carabiner on this guy's belt in this next photo. He totally has a
Yes,
carabiner and
huge.
some
Yeah.
webbing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Way to look industrial.
Also that, like, beautiful, like, chartreuse sort of weird
I
green,
love that
I think
color.
it's wonderful.
Such a
I think,
sucker.
yeah, also this kind of, almost a double-breasted, like,
Mhm.
quilted vest, another quilted
Yeah,
vest.
yeah.
Just amazing details on here. I mean, you can
I'm
spend
loving
all year trying to
yeah.
replicate every single one of
Yeah, I
these
know. Oh,
costumes
that'd
if
be
you
fun.
want it.
I love the pack that we see in the left-hand corner here because it
Yes.
reminds me of my pack that I used on
Yes.
Batuu last, and I'm like, "Oh, look, I
Yeah.
nailed it."
Yeah, I
That's
love the
amazing.
combo of, like, a hard and soft pack because this
Yeah,
looks like it's like a hard box, but then with soft
yeah,
items on it, like, I love it.
yes. I love that.
Um,
So
we
cool.
go down to the gloves, the article, which is great,
Oh
and I think
my
everyone should
gosh, this is
read.
amazing.
Yeah, is,
Those are old hockey gloves, I swear to God.
I think they are.
Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, okay, that's I was like, "Wait a minute, like, this looks like 1950s hockey." This is
Mhm.
amazing, which is
Yeah.
a very blue collar feel in itself. If you go, like,
Absolutely.
look
Yeah.
at old pictures of old hockey players, oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, this is Michigan, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, it's totally yeah,
yeah, yeah,
Ontario,
yeah.
Michigan, yeah, yeah. Oh, I love it.
You see, this scene you see, like, just 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 lovely, lovely styling all throughout,
Yeah.
beautiful colors, not a single lace on a single boot
You know,
in
and the
this
boots that
scene.
are far to the right, those yellow ones almost remind me of, like, Extra Toughs, like,
Yeah.
uh
Yeah, some of these are like
yeah.
wellies almost as well,
Yeah,
right?
totally,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm assuming
Yeah.
some of these people do some work in wetter areas
Yeah.
or things like that, and, everything is for purpose. There's obviously, different types of, if you'll notice, I think that might is that Brasso right dead in the center? You kinda
I
just see
think
his shoulder.
so.
If
Yeah.
you look to the right of him, there's a gentleman with a sort of yellow case, and he has a
Yeah.
similar hat, but it's a
Mhm.
similar sort of helmet, but a different
Yeah.
color. I love that there's, like, you can get the same helmet in different colors
Yeah.
or and then there's 2 people that have, sort of almost like a milk dish,
Yeah.
helmet, and there's 2 of them, that have the same ones.
Yeah,
Are
the
they
same
buddies? I
one.
don't know. Did they is are they is
Did they
one of
work for
them
the same
upset at the other one?
company or
Yeah,
yeah.
because he jocked his style, like, I don't know. Who knows, right?
I love that case too. It reminds me of, yeah, like, Craftsman tool cases that you get the drills in, like the
Oh, yeah,
drill
yeah,
bit
yeah.
cases. But yeah,
I'm
it
almost
also
positive it's
almost
one.
yeah, yeah, or like just souped up, right? But it almost reminds me of a boombox as well. So I kinda love that.
I do love that in some of the, boots, there's quilting as well, which I think
Yeah. Mhm.
is just it's just delicious.
Right. Yeah, which you
It's
can
just
find
delicious.
that out there, like,
Yeah.
in current everyday
Mhm.
outdoor wear fashion, right?
Absolutely.
Totally, which is so fun finding these pieces that you're like, "I know who
Yeah.
sells that."
There was these, and
I
have them
love
in
it.
storage, and I think I don't wear them anymore because they have lace. But I have a pair of Converse of
Oh,
Converse All-Stars that are
okay.
leather Converse All-Stars. It's like
Nice.
they did 2 pair of kind of like a hiking sneaker boot. So
Mhm.
it's a lionized or vulcanized or whatever you galvanized, a Converse All-Star, right? But
Okay.
it's got, like, quilted, diamond quilting, on the tongue, It's waterproof. Like the
Oh,
tongue is sort of
wow.
attached on the sides so that water
Okay.
doesn't get into your thing. The
Yeah.
soles are a bit beefier.
Yeah.
It's beefier all around. So it's like a boot, but it's if a a work boot and a Converse All Star like had a baby, right?
Wow. Okay.
And I went crazy over them when they first came out. I slept on them for like a month
Yeah.
and wasn't able to get them.
Oh, no.
They were gone. They were sold out. And then
Did you find them secondhand?
I found a pair. I don't know if it was secondhand, but I found a pair on a weird dodgy site, which I what I thought was a dodgy site, and they were $60 down from like 130,
Oh my god.
140.
Okay,
And I was
okay.
like, I'm just gonna hope and pray that they
Yeah.
show up. $60, they arrived in a week and I had
Oh
them. I
my
was like,
god.
yes. I love them.
That's a
They
dream.
yeah, I wore them a lot when I was doing, when we were doing Ferrix fashion
Yeah.
stuff before,
Yeah.
like, the Ferrix Friday hashtag, was
Yeah.
out, like,
Thank
the
you,
first
Midterm
few.
Rebel.
Yes, for, like, bringing us together, right? Because we were just doing it on,
Yeah,
like, a
just doing our
Tuesday and
solo
then
stuff.
maybe, like, a Sunday and then
Yeah.
maybe 2 days in a row, Wednesday and a Thursday. We were going all
It's
crazy for
anarchy.
months. Yeah, it was anarchy. We were using the Ferrix fashion thing, but we were so excited
Yeah, yeah.
about it that
Mhm.
I was putting up an outfit together specifically for, like, Ferrix that looked
Yeah.
like it would fit in Ferrix. Like, I was doing one a week. That was, like, part of my, like, rota, like,
Yeah.
on my Instagram. So when he did that, he's like, "Let's do it on a Friday."
Yeah.
Well, okay, fine, let's do it.
It makes sense.
But those sneakers were a big feature back then. So if you
Oh,
scroll
yeah.
and scroll and scroll and scroll on my Instagram, you'll eventually hit them, and I love them. But I don't wear
I
them.
do remember those.
A few more shots here of these workers going to work.
Yeah.
Some great details, some great belt details, some great sling
Yeah.
details, ropes, just tied
Right?
up
Yeah, I was about to
ropes.
say just yeah, 'cause you've definitely got webbing, you've got this, like, double prong belt with some ropes. He is somebody who
Mhm.
goes up off the ground and works,
Yep, I got
right?
that
Like, with
too,
those
right?
safety slings, totally.
Um,
Although when Ian was building his look for our Batu, like, cover stories, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be this telecoms, like, technician," and he first put his, like, harness together, and I was like, "You are gonna want some leg loops, honey." I was like he's like, "It's not done." I'm like, "Okay, okay, okay," but I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, "I don't know, you don't have leg loops, that's gonna be real uncomfortable." But oh, yeah. Oh, and I love because, like and I think I mentioned this before, but on Brazos, his overalls instead of
Yeah,
coveralls, right? Overalls are, like, with the strap.
with the
Those
straps.
buckles are like I mentioned that I found that one, it's, like,
Mhm,
where you use them on webbing straps to, like, tie down
mhm.
boats. I found that one in
Yeah.
Canada. I still have to make a belt out of that, but I love that detail because it's so those things are heavy and,
Oh, yeah.
like you gotta like, there's little, like foam or silicone like covers that go around them so they don't like crack your windows when you're like putting them on your car. Like those are I love that they just like use that chunk of metal. They're like, yeah, we're just gonna put this big chunk of metal on this garment. I love that.
Yeah. Right next to him, this white vest I've always loved, and this
Yeah.
is, like, I think, sort of harkening back to maybe some of that, expanded universe stuff, some of the
Mhm.
older sort of comic book stuff,
Yeah.
that kind of, um, filled up collar, that
Yeah.
stuffed collar with the, kind of little cap sleeves to the vests and,
Yeah.
some more of that, so we get some real good Star Wars there as well.
Yeah.
Some more, more diamond on um,
Oh yeah, right
the
there, right in
next
the front.
photo, front and center. I love that helmet. Like,
Yes.
I love these hard hat kind of things. Like, I need all of them.
I know, right? I know. How do we make those? That's why I'm like,
I
what do I
want that
make that
orange
out of?
one that right next to Brasso.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, with the chartreuse jacket.
Yeah.
I'm even looking at these caps, like the 2 folks down in that right-hand corner, just some soft caps. I mean, that's the bucket hat. I've been talking to Ian about bucket hats a
Yeah.
lot lately.
Bucket hats are
We're planning
canon.
stuff for Helsicon this next year. Yep, yep. And I'm like, dude, bucket hats.
There's
Like,
even
it's
one
canon.
on
That's
the
so
left
ridiculous.
side. If you see him way in the background, there's another
Oh,
bucket
yeah, way
hat.
in the background. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Yeah. But they're
Um,
crumpled up, right? They're crumpled, they're weathered,
mhm.
they're a slightly I even like that the guy farthest in the right-hand corner, he's got, like, the orange jacket with the diamond patterning. It looks like his, like, front is crumpled in a little bit even, you know what I mean? It's, like, a little
Yeah.
so I just love that very worn or, like, I woke up and I rolled out of bed like this, like
Yeah.
like or he stuffed it in the bottom of his satchel, and then he's just pulled it out and put it on, and
Yes.
it's all rolled up still.
I
I
think
love
otter
that.
wax it. If you get a
Yeah.
bucket hat, otter wax the whole thing, you'll get that
Mm.
kind of crumply
Yeah.
feel to it, and it'll start to hold some of those wrinkles, and
Yeah.
really great.
Totally.
Um, Going further down,
Yeah.
the next shot is when we see Cassian run into a buddy of his, let's call him
Mhm.
someone he owes money to, and this adorable big giant alien, which I
Yes.
love. He seems so gentle
I know,
because of
right?
the way that Cassian talks to him. He's like, "Really? You're doing this now? Like, come
Yeah,
on!"
yeah.
Like, um, so he seems like one of those people. If you've ever had a friend who's like a gentle giant of a person, like, they're always great. But this little shop, and I know that they're selling scrap. Obviously, these are
Yeah.
panels and controls and whatnot,
It's like
probably from
Greeblies Are
ships.
Us.
I know, but it read to me like a newsstand. Like, it
Yeah.
looks like it's sort of laid
Yeah.
out like an old like newsstand,
Yeah.
which I thought was another thing that kind of grounds this like world. That's not a
Yeah.
costuming note, but I think that it just
Yeah.
makes this
Totally. But
city
but it kind of is 'cause we've
feel
talked
real.
about yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Totally. I get
yeah.
that. I feel like it's like a pile of droid parts and, like, a pile of old printers or something like that, like,
Yes, it does
you know
look
what I
like a bunch
mean?
of old
Like, it
printers. Yeah.
does. I love the
Um,
satchel that the guy has, that leather satchel.
yeah, I
It's
can't
very
quite
beautiful.
place what that was. I feel like it's like, call me crazy here, but I feel like it's an old like word processor case or something of the
Oh,
like. I remember
okay.
having something like that
Oh,
long,
wow.
long time ago, and I don't
Okay,
remember what went in it.
okay.
There's obviously like it's too thin for a binocular case, but it's
Yeah,
in that sort of world.
yeah.
Um,
It also reminds me of those bike messenger bags that are made out of the
mhm.
old inner tubes.
Yeah,
Because 'Cause I'm
yeah.
like,
Oh,
"Is
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
rubber or is this leather?" But it really reminds me of that, which is fun. I mean, you could, like, hack one of those up and make a pack.
Absolutely. This
Yeah.
looks like leather to me, and it looks like it might be
Mhm.
something like that. Like something goes
Mhm.
in there.
Mhm.
Some kind of flip out situation. I want to say it might
Yeah.
even be like an 8x10 camera case or something,
Okay.
like just for the backs of
Okay.
8x10 cameras, like where the film goes, like the film slides. Anyway,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
something
I
it's
got
something
you.
in
Yeah,
those
yeah.
worlds.
Yeah.
Moving swiftly along, I think we see now, what we don't see that much, but it's there,
Mhm.
is longer lines, cloaks, sort of caped kind of
Yeah.
things, even jewelry. This one character
Yeah.
here, and these people look like citizens. Like, they might not be,
Yeah.
maybe they're shopkeepers, maybe they're something else. They're not really like factory workers. They're not industrial sort of workers. Obviously, someone has to sell the scrap, right?
Mhm.
So I'm assuming that's what
Yeah.
these characters, go about their day doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
love her, like, kinda charcoaly blue. It's very, it feels like it's a step up because she's got the necklaces, she's got
mhm,
the wider pants that you're not gonna be getting dirty for sure.
exactly.
I
That's why I
love that.
thought like maybe this is like some kind of shopkeep. These are really
Mhm.
nice gloves on
Yeah.
this character. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we get another alien here on the side. Everyone was like, "There's no
Mhm.
aliens in Andor," and I'm like, "Yeah, they're all over the place."
Just gotta look, yeah.
There's no main characters. That's for sure, except for that big guy.
Yes,
More
yes.
bucket hats. even a sort of 5
Yeah.
panel, almost biking cap, and the next
Mhm.
slide.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
more of
those
the
are
same. Yeah,
very yeah, those are one of those things I see whenever I see it, I'm like, "Dude, you could modify that for Star Wars so easy." I love
yeah.
that. And just the
Well,
just the cowl overhead too on the right is
yeah,
so nice.
yeah. I think the 5 panel. I think of like of caps that look like your everyday baseball cap. I think
Mhm.
the instances that we have seen in Star Wars is that 5 panel hat, which is
Mhm.
that it's sort of a flat front panel, two
Yeah.
on the side, one going across all the way at the
Mhm.
back, which is like the Gabbercrete hats are 5 panel hats.
Mhm.
So they have a place in the
Yeah,
world.
definitely.
There's a big old someone brought up these side release plastic um
Yeah.
buckles, and they were
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I noticed that um I've always known them to be in Star Wars. They're all over
Yeah.
like the prequel trilogy." So
Yeah.
yeah.
Are they on the Jedi belts? Like silver ones? Am I
I think there is one. I think
I
those
think there
specifically
is.
might be metal, but there are
Yeah.
plastic black
Yeah,
ones
but they're
all
the
over the
yeah,
prequel,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
The
But
side release,
still
yeah.
that side release,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
But here's a big old orange one.
Yeah. Right there in the middle.
But it goes great with with the outfit, so, you know,
Yeah. All these quilted jackets are so, like, enticing right now. We've been in such cold temperatures, we're having,
I
like,
know here as well.
cold weather warnings. Oh, you too? Oh my gosh. Yeah, like, all this and I'm just like, "Oh, this looks so cozy." This is why I put on my quilted vest this morning 'cause I'm like, "Oh, this looks so nice." I love this mustard color one with the quilting all down the long cuffs. I'm like, "Oh, that
Mhm.
looks so nice."
And finally, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
there's so much to look
I
at,
know.
but I included this one guy who I couldn't figure out if it was
It's like a
an
welding
alien or
mask.
not. It's like a welding mask, isn't it?
Yeah, like,
Yeah. I
totally.
think it might be because it's not like a full faced helmet, and there is
Yeah.
an ear there, so I
Uh-huh,
think it is a
uh-huh.
human with an amazing welding mask.
Yeah.
I also want that.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Bet you could find an old one. Again, more
Mhm.
things that my grandpa just had, like, hanging up in the machine shed, and this is very much part of my childhood, like, oh, the welding masks, like, I remember thinking they were so alien looking as a kid. Now I'm like, well, here they are in Star Wars. I love it.
Yeah, and what I was noticing, where I was trying to get a sense for like, so what are the rules of this of this world? Not what the rules, but like I don't get me in trouble.
Yeah.
But like, so what are the sort of design
Guideline.
choices? What are
Yeah.
the styling choices? Because
Mhm. What's the
sometimes you'll see
underlying themes?
yeah, sometimes you'll see, a base layer, overalls, and then a jacket over top,
Mhm.
but then this last one, you see that there's obviously a base layer, a jacket, and then what looks like overalls or maybe an apron over top
Yeah.
of jacket. So,
Yeah.
I just love that everyone is very sort of individual.
Yeah.
There actually is no rule. It's up to the
Yeah.
individual how you dress.
Yeah.
I'm sure the different colors are different, also choices.
Mhm.
There are no uniforms
Yeah.
in this
Well,
world.
and I love that, and I think a lot of us could really pull from that, right? Because
Mhm,
and especially the apron, right?
mhm,
Like the work apron, I think is something that we haven't tapped into enough,
yeah.
right? Like that's an extra layer, which I don't know why I actually have gotten in the habit of wearing an apron around my house because it has pockets. And I'm
Oh,
like,
there you go.
if I'm in a pair of pants that doesn't, a pair of comfy sweatpants or whatever that doesn't have pockets, I'm like, oh, well, my apron's on while I'm like doing work around the house. So then I've got pockets. So I'm just saying, bring aprons back. But make them workwear. I love that. It's
Yeah.
like utilitarian. And yeah, I think we need to tap into that for sure.
There
So
was, I think I may have made it a collab post, because I'm doing not every Sunday, but I'm doing, like, Style Guide
mhm.
Sundays. I just
Yeah,
relegated it to a Sunday,
nice.
just so that I have like, because I don't really post on Saturdays, but Sundays is
Yeah.
a good day to
Yeah.
post for me. So I take the
Yeah.
weekend sometimes to kind of like, oh, I need to
Nice.
go through like all of these like you know, all of these screenshots and things that I've found, and I need to put
Yeah.
them somewhere so that I can delete them off my phone, right?
Oh, you're smart. 'Cause I go
So
back,
that
I'm
I
like,
can
"Why do I still have these?"
yeah, exactly. No, it gives me anxiety, and I'm like, I need to do when I build up to like enough for like a 10 panel thing. I'm like, okay, now I'll
Yeah.
build a story around
Yeah.
whatever it is that I was looking at. But there's one that I did, and it was about quilted jackets and quilted
Okay.
vests.
Yeah.
And there's one that I found that was a very like padded and quilted, almost like a Japanese wrapped kimono
Yeah.
that ties on the side. It's sort of a double-breasted situation, and it ties on the side. And I'd never seen anything like it. And a lot of people were asking me, "Oh, where'd you get this?" 'Cause I'm also not doing like links to things. I'll put the brand name
Mhm.
on the card, but like I don't get paid to do that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, right? Yeah.
I don't want
Totally.
I don't want the I don't want that responsibility. Like if somebody
Mhm.
whatever. Anyway, if somebody
Yeah.
wants it, like, people have DM'd me and they're like, "Hey, do you have the link?" Fine, I'll
Or
get it for
also
you.
just screenshot it and look it up, with Google. Like, you know what I mean? I'm
Yes,
just gonna say, like,
reverse image search. Yeah, but
yeah,
I
I've
always put
been
the
doing
brand
that
name,
so much lately. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've
So
been
that
doing that
like
a lot lately,
yeah,
so
just look for the brand name and
yeah,
search for the thing that I
yeah,
called it.
yeah.
That'll get you to it. But I'd never seen anything like it. It's obviously a very simple like make if
Mhm.
it's something that's almost doesn't need much structure. I think a vest is like
Yeah,
one of the easier things to sort of make. And now I say this like wearing one that I've made that's like all wonk, like it's all types of wonky. Like it's very simple and nowhere near
yeah.
perfect. Um but I think that one is one that like someone had asked me for it for the link, and I was like, well, I don't want to break your heart, but I think it's like $300.
Oh, go I know we
So
all
just take a
are always in
picture
the
of this.
chat
Yeah,
getting those, "Hey, I saw this ad," and oh my
yeah.
gosh, I love it, but whew.
That's also why I don't link, and why I've put
Yeah,
disclaimers all over those, like, style guide things that
yeah,
say, like, "I'm not telling you to go out and buy, like,
yeah,
this Alexander McQueen
right,
vest and jacket combo
right,
that I found, like, that's
yeah.
$2,000,
Oh, yeah.
but I'm just telling you, like, look at it
Yeah, just point out that
because something in the design is speaking
yeah.
to me. I'm not
Yeah, well,
saying go
and
out and
that,
buy
like,
that, yeah.
modern fashion and Star Wars fashion are very much linked, right? Like, I mean, like,
Mhm,
to be something like to be somebody who has a runway show and
mhm.
have it be, like, in Star Wars style, I think is significant. Like,
Yeah.
it's it's something. It's like, this is valid, and where is the style coming from? Who is the film inspiring the designer, or are the designers inspiring the filmmakers?
Mhm.
Who's like, the chicken or the egg? I just this is the things keep me up at night.
Right. What I found interesting, right, is that it is a garment that is 2 garments. Like, you
Okay.
can't
Mhm.
buy the vest
Yeah.
and you can't buy the jacket. You
Yeah.
can only buy the jacket and the vest, and I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, "What in the Jyn Erso is this? Like, what like, what in
Somebody watched Rogue One a lot.
exactly, like, which one
Clearly
of us just got a job at McQueen? Like"
yeah, right? Clearly, that is, like, one of their designer's favorite Star Wars movies. They're like oh, I love
So
it, but
that's a yeah.
going back to the reverse image search, I think that that's a
Mhm.
great thing to do because you can take that shot and be like, "Oh my god, there's no way I'm gonna afford this, but who else out there is making something?"
Yep.
Or, like, "What can I find that's secondhand that if I buy a separate jacket and a separate vest and I put them
Mhm.
together and suddenly they do have that same look." I've just been really into it lately, getting ready for, like, the Disney
Absolutely.
Bound March challenge, and so I've just been like, "Oh, this is cool." Yeah, it's a
Yeah, you
fun
can
one
also
too.
find like also like, don't get duped out there. Like
Mhm.
do a
Yeah,
reverse image search if you find everything. Always, always,
yeah.
always look up a brand that you do not
Yes.
know on Trustpilot.
Yes.
Just
Yes,
type in the name of
absolutely.
the website and Trustpilot, like, whatever,
Yeah,
you know, I don't know,
yeah,
clothes.com, Trustpilot, like search for
Totally,
that
totally.
phrase
There's been
and
so
see if
many
you can,
times that,
yeah.
like, somebody in our squadron comes into the chat being like, "I just
Mhm.
saw this," and then somebody else is like, "Yeah, don't trust them." And then the rest of us Google it and go, "Oh, yeah, don't trust them."
Yep. And,
Yeah, don't do it.
to your point with the reverse image search, it's sometimes also, like, drop shipping exists.
Mhm.
There are people who set up shops,
Yeah.
and never touch this clothes, never actually
Mhm.
ship this clothes to
Yeah.
you, so you might be able to find it somewhere else cheaper, and it's coming from there
Yeah.
anyway. Like,
Totally, or
yeah.
that's one of my tools, and we'll talk I have another episode that
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
preparing to talk about, like, internet scavenging, right? And
Yep.
that's definitely one of the points is that even if I find it secondhand and I'm like, "Alright, sweet, here's the thing I found secondhand," I always go ahead and search because somebody else for some reason, Poshmark might have brought up this one and not
Mhm.
another, and then I
Okay.
search and then if I search for it, then it'll bring up a bunch more. I'm like, "Oh, hey, there's one for only 15 instead of
There you go.
45." You know what I mean? And it's like it's a very helpful tool.
That's an episode I'm looking forward to,
Yes,
like,
I'm
listening to
excited
you.
for it,
Yeah, so,
for sure.
I have this little, I'm going a little off topic here, but, like, I have this little charity shop that just opened right outside of the
Nice.
supermarket that I go to. It's really tiny, it's really small, but, like, around this area, it has there are long-standing kind of secondhand and charity
Okay.
shops that, like, are now, like, just as expensive, like, you know what
Yeah,
I mean? But
yeah.
this place is still, like, you can get something for, like,
Nice.
2 pounds of quid, 4 pounds of quid, sorry, that's a joke, for 4 pounds, 2 pounds, whatever, right? 7 pounds, like,
Yeah.
so I every once in a while, like, after I do, like, a little grocery run, I'll pop in there just to see what's in
Nice.
there. I think what I wanna start doing, and this is more existential than anything else
Mhm.
because I think I'm closing my shop
Okay,
soon.
okay,
Um, I kinda don't wanna have, like, physical merchandise anymore. I
okay.
don't wanna
Yeah,
deal
yeah.
with, like, shipping stuff. I
Yeah,
do have, like, some cool, like, digital designs that are,
yeah.
that are print on demand stuff, posters and things like that,
Nice.
that I will sort of keep, but, anyway, once my stock, I think, runs out, I think I'm I think I'm done. I think I've
Okay.
I've I've fought too many people who
End
have
of the
stolen my
era.
designs,
Oh, I know. For
and,
sure, every
I'm
time we see
tired
it.
of the fight, yeah.
Ugh.
I'm tired of fighting, so, I
Get
think I'm just gonna
your
rest.
one of a kind, limited edition, original Billy Maddox designs now.
So, but what I think I wanna do, right, not only to, like, uh not only to, like, keep working on
Mm,
stuff, like, around and, like, maybe focus more on, like, soft goods than anything
mhm.
else is I wanna start finding stuff, finding vests,
Yeah,
finding
yeah.
jackets, and things like that, and, customizing them, and
Nice,
then
yeah,
maybe putting that up
I
for,
love that.
sale or for giveaways or etcetera,
Love
or like,
it.
"Hey, I found this that doesn't fit me, but I've done a bunch of, customizations,"
Yeah,
like, and I don't know, for trade,
I love
"Print
it,
me print me
yes.
this thing and I'll send you this jacket,"
Mhm,
whatever, I think
totally.
I'm done with, like, selling stuff. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I feel
I'm
like the
sick of it.
trade is a little more Star Warsy too, right?
Yeah,
Like, "You got goods I need, I got goods you need, let's" yeah,
yeah.
totally, let's trade. I love that, Billy. That's
So I think
amazing.
I'm gonna start doing that, especially with that little shop. So as soon as they start, like, as soon as, like, something comes around, there's
Yeah.
always it's always different in
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Like, I don't
Oh,
understand, like, how it's always, like, completely different,
right?
like, all the stuff that's in there. So if I see something, I know that I have to get it because I might not ever see it again. But,
Yeah,
yeah, anyway, I'm keeping my eyes
I
out
love
for,
it.
like, jackets and vests and things like that, even stuff that might not be in my size so that I can
Mhm.
customize them and let them go. I'm
I
looking for
love it.
printed stuff, people, so if you want a vest, maybe I'll
Nice.
find something for you. I don't know.
Sweet. That's amazing. I love it. So,
Yeah.
oh,
But anyway, that's
yeah.
Ferrix, right?
I know, that's fair, and that's our background, Ferrix people, like, we can go on and on about a lot of things on Ferrix, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's a scratch on the surface, but I love it. I do hope they go back to Ferrix because I do love it so much, but whatever they bring to us, I'll be happy.
Yeah, yeah, I
So,
think, I don't know who's doing the costume designer, I don't see why they
yeah,
would change,
yeah,
from one project to the
yeah,
next.
totally.
It doesn't really work that way, So we might be just getting another crop of like amazing
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
Next up in our run up to like season 2 of Andor, we're gonna be doing the other planets. I think I'll put something together for Canary. I'll put something together
Mhm.
for Aldani,
Yeah.
um, and maybe more Lana One. There isn't much of those planets, so
Yeah.
we'll be sort of concentrating more on like 5 or 6 looks because
Mhm.
that's those are just the people that are there.
Yeah.
Ferrix is obviously like the biggest one, so I figured we'd tackle that one first.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's it.
I love it. Oh, it's fantastic. All right, we're getting the ramp up to Andor is on, people.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, Billy, where can folks find you to get their limited edition relics?
I'm at Billy Maddox. I'm on Instagram. I'm also Billy Maddox on Blue Sky. Blue Sky?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, I will be moving to Flashes when that
Yeah. Mhm.
opens. I don't know if I
Okay.
will immediately leave Instagram, but
Yeah.
if 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 what they're promising is, then that's where you'll find me. But
Yeah.
anyway, Billy
Yeah.
Maddox on
We'll
Instagram
keep you
for now.
posted. Yeah.
Yeah. Where
Late
can people
breaking
find
news.
you?
I'm Kate Ryder. I am at One Scavenger's Wardrobe on Instagram. And if you are on Blue Sky, I do have an account with like 2 photos so far. It is just one scavenger because you can only have a very short screen name on that one right now. But please come find me, say hi because I'm new and I'm trying to wrap my brain around how that one works. But when this other one comes out, I will definitely be interested to look into it. So
Mhm.
as always, thank you for Raimi for being in the background as our producer and the entire Dad Batch group for hosting us in their family. And just remember that a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away can be right here and right now.